بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على مولانا رسول الله. Good evening. I hope you are all great, well. First of all, I am pleased to thank the Bitlisaniyat International Academy for this wonderful academic opportunity. I would like to mention specifically Mr. President of Bitlisaniyat Bitlisaniyat International Academy, members of the BAHITON team, dear attendees. I am very pleased to begin with to thank the esteemed professor for accepting our team's invitation to deliver this distinguished lecture. I also thank Mr. Hmad Benaissa for coordinating this scientific lecture, and also I am pleased to thank the reporter of this scientific lecture, Mr. Ahmed Merto, and everyone who accompanies me in this scientific meeting. Dear attendees, BAHITON team at Bitlisaniyat International Academy organized an online scientific lecture on the cutting-edge intersection of technology and pedagogy beyond the lecture hall integration generative artificial intelligence into higher education curricula. This lecture will explore the practical applications and challenges of incorporating powerful generative artificial intelligence tools into university level education. This lecture is presented by Professor Dr. Abdelaziz HAMMOUCH, an adjunct lecturer and researcher at the Sidi Mohamed bin Abdellah University, Fas, Morocco. His academic activities center on educational development, interdisciplinary research, and advancing scholarly collaboration across Moroccan institutions. He has contributed to various research projects aimed at improving academic quality and fostering innovation in higher education. Dear attendees, I would like to inform you that you can ask your question for discussion after the lecture ends. And now I give the floor to the professor to deliver his lecture. Dear professor, you are welcome. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, dear Mr. TARIK. Special thanks go to Hmad Benaissa also for inviting me to such a great event. So my name is, as Mr. Benaissa, as Mr. Messaoud presented, Dr. Abdelaziz Al-Hammouchi. I am a PhD holder and research in pragmatics and applied linguistics at Sidi Mohamed bin Abdellah University in Fes. While my academic roots are in pragmatics, the rapidly evolving field of generative artificial intelligence continues to challenge and inspire my pedagogical thinking. I'd like to extend my sincere thanks to the BAHITON Research Team at Bitlisaniyat International Academy for organizing this valuable scientific lecture, and my special thanks go to Professor Hmad Benaissa for the kind invitation. I will now move on to my presentation, Beyond the Lecture Wall, Integrating Generative AI into Higher Education. AI story starts with Alan Turing, the father of modern computing. In 1950, he introduced what we call now the Turing test, and he asked a revolutionary question: can machines think? And actually, that was a big question. His idea was simple but powerful. If a machine could hold a conversation that is indistinguishable from humans, then we might say it shows signs of intelligence. This moment didn't create AI as a technology yet, but it created AI as a concept, a scientific dream. In 1956, a group of researchers gathered at Dartmouth College for a summer workshop. It was there that John McCarthy coined the term artificial intelligence. This conference marked the official founding of AI as a research field, with the hope that machines would soon be able to learn, reason, solve problems just like humans. Of course, the progress was much slower than they expected, but the foundation was laid. Jumping forward to the 2010s, we entered a completely new era. Two factors changed everything. Big data, the internet produced massive data sets, and GPUs, or what we call graphic processing units, originally made for video games but perfect for training neural networks. And we shall come back to this point later on. This combination allowed a technique called deep learning to explode in capability. Suddenly, AI could recognize images, translate languages, and analyze speech far better than before. And finally, in 2022, the world witnessed another turning point, the launch of ChatGPT. With generative AI, machines no longer just analyze information, they can produce new content, such as text, images, codes, summaries, explanations, etc. This shift from recognizing patterns that started first with Alan Turing to creating is what pushed AI into everyday life, including education, research, and communication. Are you following me so far? Sihmed,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
it
yeah.
okay? All right, so let's move on to the third slide. AI, at its core, is a branch of a computer science tries to build systems capable of performing tasks and normally require human intelligence. Things like recognizing patterns, understanding language, and solving problems. So AI doesn't think like humans do. Instead, it identifies patterns in massive amounts of data and uses those patterns to make predictions or generate responses. This slide focuses on LLMS, large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude, and there are others, of course. A key idea here is that an LLM does not store facts the way our brain does. It doesn't know things. Instead, it has learned the probabilities of words appearing together. And I shall come back to this point, probabilities. Think of it as a super advanced autocomplete. When you type a prompt, and this is again another concept I'm going to discuss later on. When you type a prompt, the model predicts the next word called a token based on everything it has learned. And it does this one token at a time very quickly. The result feels like conversation, but it is actually high speed probability calculation. To make good predictions, the model is trained on billions of words, and it borrows those words from books, articles, websites, academic text, conversation, etc., etc. Through this massive exposure, it learned the statistical relationship between words, phrases, and ideas. It doesn't memorize the internet, it absorbs patterns. Parameters are like tiny knobs inside the model, sometimes billions or even trillions of them. During training, these parameters are adjusted over and over so that the model becomes better at predicting the next word. So the idea here about AI in general is about predicting the next word or the token. More parameters usually mean deeper understanding of language, more accurate responses, and better reasoning ability. So LLM or large language models work on the basis of these three concepts: prediction machine, training data, and parameters. This slide explains how large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini, or others are built. They don't just download the internet, they go through a rigorous three-stage training process. And I underline the three-stage training process. First one, pre-training is the foundation of the entire model. During this phase, the AI reads enormous amounts of text derived from Common Crawl, Wikipedia, books, articles, websites, etc. So what is learning here? It learns grammar, facts, vocabulary, and patterns of reasoning by doing one simple task, which is predicting the next word over and over again billions of times. At the end of the pre-training, the model is knowledgeable but not very well behaved. Think of it as a student who has read every book in the library but hasn't yet learned how to follow instructions. Fine-tuning, which is the second stage, is where humans step in more directly. Instead of letting the model wander through huge data sets, we give it created examples. For example, questions and answers, summaries, translations, explanations. We essentially teach it how to follow instructions. Example, explain this, summarize that, translate this paragraph, etc., etc. This stage transforms the model from a chaotic reader into a helpful assistant. So in the pre-training stage, the AI is not really ordered. It's in a chaotic state, and with the fine-tuning, you put the AI into an order assistant, a helpful assistant. It begins producing structured, relevant responses instead of random patterns from its training data. This is the third stage. This is the final polishing stage. Humans review the model's answers and mark them as good or bad, as some sort of feedback. The model then adjusts itself to produce more of what humans prefer. This is what we call RLHF, which means reinforcement learning from human feedback. So the RLHF teaches the model safety, politeness, usefulness, clarity, avoidance of harmful content. This is why modern AI tools behave responsibly and stay on topic. So if pre-training gives AI knowledge and fine-tuning gives it skills, the last stage, which is RLHF, gives it values. Up to now, we've seen how AI models are trained. Now, we ask the big question, how do they actually think? And the answer is through probability. An LLM or large learning model does not access the database of correct answers. It doesn't look up information the way a search engine does. Instead, when you type a prompt, the model calculates the statistical likelihood or probability of what the next word should be. This is why we say AI is a probability engine, not a knowledge engine. When you give the model a sentence, the model has seen similar patterns millions of times during training. So to continue the sentence naturally, it evaluates all the words in its vocabulary and assigns each one a probability score. Which word is most likely to appear next to this context? For example, the phrase is, as we have here on the slide, the cat sat on the. So AI calculates the token or the probable word that will come after the sentence and rates it in terms of percentages. So high percentage will automatically be the next word or the next token. Another example, the students walked into the. The model made generate probabilities like classroom. The students walked into the classroom and gives it 75% probability. Hall, 15% probability. Cloud, the students walked into the cloud. So this is not reasonable and it doesn't make sense, but though the AI system ranked it as 0.01%, which is low probability chance. The model will almost always pick the most probable word. If it picks extremely unlikely one like the cloud, the students walked into the cloud, which is not reasonable, we get what we know as hallucination. So the least probable word, this is what we call hallucination. It's like we say, AI is hallucinating here. This slide is important because it shows that hallucinations are not malfunctions. So we shouldn't say that, well, AI just, is not running well. But we should say that the least common or probable word is some sort of hallucination. Grammatically is correct, but, semantically is something that doesn't suit in the context. This slide is important, as I said, because it says that this is hallucination, not malfunctions. They are simply cases where the model chooses a word that technically fits in the statistical pattern but makes no sense in real-world logic. It is choosing based on mathematics of language. As I told you before, it's probability, the most likely word that's going to fit in the next context, not on understanding of truth. So it's based on the mathematics of language, not the understanding of the truth. This slide connects AI directly to our field, which is applied linguistics. It shows how AI is not just a technological tool, but a linguistic tool that can transform the way we analyze language and teach it. Traditionally, analyzing learner errors, as an example, like L1 interference or interlanguage patterns, takes a lot of time and expert judgment. But AI can now instantly detect these patterns. For example, if a Moroccan student writes, I have 22 years, the AI not only corrected to I am 22 years old, but it also explains why the mistake happens. It recognizes that errors comes from a transfer from French, j'ai 22 ans, or Arabic, عندي 22 عام. This makes AI a powerful assistant in diagnosing errors and giving personalized feedback. And this is what's very important about AI in teaching. It gives a personalized feedback to every learner. Pragmatics is one of the hardest areas for learners. Knowing how to say something, to whom, and in what context. AI can simulate different sociolinguistic contexts, like variations in power, distance, and formality. For example, emailing a friend, like, hey, can you send the notes? Thanks. So this is informal and low distance. Emailing a dean, Dear professor, would it be possible to receive the lecture notes? Formal and high power distance. AI actually can model both and teach students the difference instantly. This is extremely valuable in English studies where tone and register actually matter. Before AI, so before the age of artificial intelligence, teachers had to individually correct each sentence, each error, each inappropriate register. With hundreds of students, this was nearly impossible. Now, AI can provide immediate explanations, freeing teachers to focus on higher level thinking, such as interpretation, discourse analysis, critical thinking, academic writing, etc. In other words, AI handles the mechanics so professors can focus on the meaning. This slide shifts the discussion from technology to power. AI, not just a scientific achievement, it is also an ecosystem controlled by a small number of companies with massive resources. And this has serious implications for academia and for knowledge production. Modern AI does not develop in someone's garage. To train cutting edge models, companies need a lot of stuff, like gigantic data sets, supercomputers, thousands of GPUs, electricity, cooling, and engineering teams, cloud infrastructures. They need a lot of cloud infrastructure where to store information. Information is very important for AI. Only a few organizations in the world have that level of power. So the question becomes, who actually controls AI? Google is central to the modern AI landscape. They created the transformer architecture. It's actually the T that we have in the ChatGPT. So the T is about Google here, transformer architecture, which revolutionized the entire field and made today's language models possible. So without Google, actually, we couldn't speak of AI today. Google also built Gemini, one of the leading multimodal models. I shall come back to this term again, multimodal models. And because Google Search and Google Workspaces are used globally, their AI shapes how billions of people access and produce information. OpenAI develops ChatGPT, but it is Microsoft that provides the enormous cloud infrastructure through Azure. OpenAI's raw research and model design, Microsoft's supercomputers that make the models actually run. Without Microsoft's actually computing power, ChatGPT wouldn't exist at its current scale. Together, they control one of the most influential AI platforms in the world. On the other side, we have open source developers like Meta, Llama, and Mistral AI in Europe. This is another version of AI in Europe. It's called Mistral. These companies release their model weights only so that researchers, universities, and startups can build their own tools without paying for proprietary access. So, as we know, AI is not for free. Their goal is to democratize AI and prevent a monopoly where only US tech giants control the entire field. This brings us to the most important line of the slide. If knowledge production relies on proprietary algorithms, do we truly own our research? If the tools we use for writing, research, and analysis are controlled by a few companies, then we shall say who control, or shall ask the questions, who controls the academic process? Who decides what information is accessible? Can universities remain independent? This is serious, or these are serious questions for future of education. This slide focuses on how AI fits into the Moroccan university's landscape. Morocco is not just watching or global changes, it is actively building an AI ready educational system. Morocco has a clear national strategy for higher education through what we know the Pact ISRI 23 or 2030 framework. One of its core goals is to modernize universities by integrating digital tools, technology enhanced learning, and innovation spaces. AI perfectly or fits perfectly into this version because it supports digital transformation, improved teaching quality, access and equity, innovation in all fields, not only the program STEM. Across Moroccan universities, we are seeing the creation of Code 212 centers. These are hybrid learning spaces where students can access training in coding, design, digital literacy, AI fundamentals. This is actually a very good program for university students to log into. So just go there and fill in with the appropriate information of yours, plus of course your institutional academic address, and you will benefit from multiple lessons related to coding, designing, digital literacy, AI fundamentals in per se. So this is actually a good opportunity, and most of the students don't know about this program. What's important is that Code 212 centers are not limited to science faculties. They are designed for all students, including humanities and English majors, so that they graduate with strong digital skills. This helps bridge the gap between traditional programs and the needs to modern job market. Another major shift in Moroccan higher education is the introduction of digital soft skills modules. These modules require students to demonstrate technological proficiency, digital communication, online research skills, and the ability to use AI responsibly. In many platforms, these skills are now evaluated alongside language skills. The message is clear. In the modern university, digital competence is as important as linguistic competence. However, Morocco's digital transition is not without challenges, of course. There are still serious disparities, inequalities between rural and urban campuses. Some universities face issues like unreliable internet access. This is one of the challenges, actually, internet access, limited devices, over this is known in most of the Moroccan universities, overcrowded computer labs. These inequalities create barriers for students who want to use AI tools effectively. So the national challenge is not only to introduce AI, but to ensure equal access for all students. One of the most relevant issues for English department is language bias. Most AI models are trained primarily on English data. So this is one of the drawbacks actually of implementing AI in the Moroccan universities is language bias. That means AI performs extremely well in English, but much less consistently in Darija, Moroccan Darija, Modern Standard Arabic, and Amal Tamazigh as well. This creates a linguistic gap because students may not get the same level of AI support in their native languages. Improving local language AI performance is an important step for making AI truly inclusive in Morocco. This slide introduces one of the most important skills for today's English students, and this is actually very important, and we should, polish our understanding about this concept. Prompt engineering. It's actually the new literacy. Just as digital literacy became essential 20 years ago, prompt literacy is becoming essential today. The key message is simple. The quality of the output, your output, depends entirely on the quality of your input. Your output, the quality of your output actually is dependent on what you are typing or what you are prompting. If students give vague prompts, they receive vague, generic answers. But with structure, detailed prompts, AI can produce clear, analytical, academically appropriate responses. This makes prompt engineering a form of new literacy that English departments must teach. This slide highlights a popular method, one of the methods actually, for building strong prompts. It's called persona task context. Persona task context. Here is how it works. Persona. Tell the AI who to act as. For example, you type to, using ChatGPT or Gemini, you just type the following: act as a university writing instructor. So the output is going to be similar to the writing of a university instructor. The task, you should specify the exact action. You should tell AI what actually you want from it to do for you. So, for example, analyze, compare, summarize, critique, or rewrite, etc. The context, you should contextualize your prompt. Provide any background information needed for an accurate answer. For example, use this text, use this theory, use this reading level, this format, etc., etc. When students combine these three elements, persona, task, output, this slide shows an example of a weak prompt that simply says something like explain Shakespeare. So this is very, very vague, very generic. The result is predictable, and it's no critical perspective and a Wikipedia style work or a Wikipedia style overview. This kind of output has no academic value because the prompts no persona, no task, and no context. Now compare that with the powerful academic prompt, which includes a role, a task, and a context, and also a format if you want. A role like act as a literary critic specializing in Renaissance drama. The task, compare the political themes in Macbeth and Julius Caesar. A context, use examples from the text and focus on power, legitimacy, and manipulation. And if you want to contextualize more, you can add the format. In what format you would like AI to give you the output. For example, you say, present your answer in 2 paragraphs plus a comparative table, or present your work in a form of a PDF or whatever you want. So you should contextualize and you should write your prompt concisely and in detail, meticulously in details. When students provide this structure, AI produces deeper, more analytical, and more relevant work.
Dr. Hammouchi, we don't hear you. I think my voice stopped at good work. Dr. Hammouchi. Well, I think Dr.
It's not
Hammouchi
about
is.
method to write a true.
Yeah. Dr. Hammouchi, do you hear me?
See, Hmad, do you hear me?
Yeah, welcome back. I think you have lost
Sorry, I was
connection.
out.
No problem. You just try to upload the presentation again. And
Where did we stop exactly? Is it slide 9 or 10?
no, that slide when where you were talking about prompt engineering.
Okay, all right.
The last slide, yes, there.
Okay, I shall come back to that again.
I think it's slide 10
I'm
or
so
9.
sorry. I'm so sorry for this again.
No
Do you
problem.
see,
This
see the
is,
slide again?
I think, 9.
All right.
Slide 9 or slide 10.
Okay. So there was another method of writing prompts clearly. So we shall just go ahead to talk about Google Gemini as a case of study.
Yeah.
All right. So this slide introduces us to Google Gemini. And by the way, Google Gemini is letting learners, students in general, for a 1 year use without paying any charges. If learners wants to benefit from this, they just have to log in with their institution academic address and fill in with their appropriate information, and Gemini will give them 1 year without paying any subscriptions. So this is an opportunity that actually learners shouldn't miss. And I shall talk about the Google Gemini and how it is actually very important in our academic research. So it's an opportunity, as I said, for learners to benefit from it. So this slide introduces us to Google Gemini, one of the most advanced AI models in the world today. It differs from earlier systems like uh, natively multimodal, meaning it can understand text, images, audios, and even videos in one unified model. Other AI, systems, they are specialized, for example, in text. Others are about images. Others about videos. But this one is multimodal, meaning that it can give you many, many, many ideas in terms of text, images, or audios and videos, etc. So Gemini is not just a chatbot; it's a full research assistant. Unlike earlier language models that were trained only on text, Gemini was trained from the beginning on multiple types of data such as text, images, videos, audios, and codes. Because of this multimodal training, Gemini can analyze combinations of media just like humans do. It can look at a picture, read a paragraph about it, and then describe or analyze both together. Gemini opens new possibilities for academic work, especially in English studies and humanities. It can handle tasks that used to require several different tools. One major advantage in multimodal analysis of Gemini, for example, a student studying literature can upload a photo or handwritten manuscript, a PDF or poem, a chart or a graph from a research paper. Gemini, as a result of what you uploaded, Gemini can transcribe, interpret, summarize, or compare these materials instantly. And actually, this is incredibly useful for researchers dealing with mixed or historical sources. Another strength is Gemini's ability to work directly. This is what's actually important about Gemini. It works directly with Google Workspace tools. For example, if a student asks a table, it can export it to Google Sheet or Google Excel. If you are working, for example, on a draft, type in Google Doc. A draft can lead you or send it to Google Docs. And if you are working, for example, on some sort of summaries, it can format all of your work in some sort of slide and send it to Google Slides. So it's interconnected, it's multimodal. This creates a smoother workflow and saves time. Instead of, for example, typing, drafting, and then you shall go to Google Docs and open a file and then paste or type that once again. This is going to take actually a lot of time. But with Google Gemini, it's multimodal and it's interconnected. Gemini includes a unique feature called double check, like the little G that you see as an icon that verifies information using Google search. This is extremely valuable in academic context because it reduces hallucination. Hallucination, as I talked about it before. It's the low probability token that you get once you type, for example, a sentence or a phrase. Students can instantly ask, is this claim supported by resources? And the system highlights which parts are verifiable. This slide, this is again something that we should actually talk about. This slide introduces Notebook LM, Notebook Large Model, one of the most important AI tools for academic work, especially in English department. The key idea is that Notebook LMA or large model is a grounded AI. What do you mean by grounded? It means that it only uses the document you upload, not the whole internet. You narrow the context here. Unlike ChatGPT or Gemini, which rely on huge internet scale datasets, Notebook LM works only and only with the sources you provide. If you upload books, articles, PDFs, or notes, the model will limit itself entirely to that material. Why is this important? We might ask this question. Because it ensures zero hallucinations. No hallucinations here. Transparent reasoning. And it's a true academic reliability. It doesn't fabricate or doesn't invent sources. If the answer is not in your document, Notebook LM simply refuses to invent one. This one or this alone makes it a game changer for research-based disciplines like literature, linguistics, and culture studies. English studies rely heavily on close reading, textual evidence, and citation accuracy. And we shall come back to the concept citation in relation to AI. Notebook LM support this by becoming a kind of AI research assistant that stays within your bibliography. one of the biggest challenges for students is, this is actually what students face in their research. One of the biggest challenge for them is synthesizing multiple academic sources. With Notebook LM, the job is easier. Notebook LM can take 10, 20, or even 50 upload PDFs and produce for you what? It produces summaries out of the 10, 20, or 50 PDFs, summaries, comparisons, thematic overviews, and even literature review matrices, some sort of tables, synthesizes everything for you. For example, if a student uploads 20 papers on Victorian novels, Notebook LM can answer, compare the role of women across all sources. So all the sources, the 20 sources that you have uploaded, you just ask, compare the role of women across these sources. And it produces a synthesis with citations drawn only from the documents. It gives you even from where the information was taken as a citation, as a source. This is extremely helpful for BA researchers, MA, thesis, and even PhD students. Another unique features is the audio overview. It doesn't let you read, but it allows you to listen. Notebook LM can convert a complex academic PDFs into an audio dialogue and even a dialogue between two AI hosts, especially turning a dense academic paper into a mini podcast. This is actually very, very brilliant from Notebook LM. You can upload, for example, a book, and you just ask, as I told you before, what is the role of women across, for example, these sources? And as an output, it can provide you with a listening podcast between two people. It's totally AI generated, two people talking to each other about the source you have provided. So you just listen as if you are listening to an interview about the source you have uploaded. This actually benefits students who are audio auditory learners dealing with long or difficult tasks, studying on the go. So it's catering for students' learning needs and multiple intelligences. It makes heavy theory much more approachable. The slide emphasizes one of notebooks or Notebook LMA's strongest qualities. It refuses to answer questions that are not grounded in your document. And I really recommend this for MA, BA, or PhD students, to use it in their academic endeavor. This slide explains how AI is transforming the way we conduct literature review. So, talking about that, now let's focus on literature or review of the literature in relation to AI. Instead of searching only for keywords, we now have tools that understand concept, relationship, and research questions. In the past, it was about keywords. Type keywords and you get, multiple sources. But now it's something different. We are searching about concepts, relationships, and question or research questions. And I'm going to give you a tool related to this, research questions. Remember this. In traditional academic data sets, search is based mainly on keywords. If you don't type the exact word that appears in the paper, the database may not return it. AI research tools work very differently. They use semantic search, meaning concepts and relationships, which means they look for ideas, themes, and relationships, not just vocabulary. This shift is powerful because it helps researchers find papers they didn't even know they existed. As the slide says, it finds the papers you didn't know you were looking for. This is Most of the AI platforms, by the way, you find a small button there, and it says surprise me. Surprise me, which means provide me with things I'm not even aware of. So this is especially useful for students who are still learning how to navigate research literature. AI-powered tools like consensus, please remember this, consensus or illicit, don't just list search results. They answer research questions directly by synthesizing findings from top papers. It gives you the top papers that exist about your topic, and it makes some relations to the findings and gives you a clear idea about what you really want to look for. And if we have time at the end, I'm going to simulate to you how to actually log into consensus and use it appropriately. For example, if a student asks, does bilingualism affect cognitive decline? This is a research question. The tool can scan the literature and generate a summary of the latest research, the consensus across multiple studies, direct citations, and even methodological notes. This gives students or learners an instant overview of the field, something that would normally take days or even weeks. Another key step in a literature review is synthesis, which means organizing what the research says, how the studies differ, and where the gaps are. AI can analyze dozens of papers and produce comparison tables, methodology matrices, lists of common themes, summaries of strengths or weaknesses, and even identification of research gaps. For example, the slide shows a matrix comparing methodologies across 50 papers. This type of analysis helps students see patterns that are easy to miss when reading manually. For English department, literature reviews are everywhere. Linguistics, discourse analysis, literature studies, translation research, and even cultural studies. Before writing any paper, students must know what has already been studied. This is often the hardest and most time-consuming part of research. Tools like Consensus or Research Rabbit as well help students map the research landscape instantly. Research Rabbit visualizes networks of authors, citations, and research clusters. It shows how ideas are connected and helps students find influential papers they might miss on Google Scholar, for example. So discovery becomes faster, smarter, and more structured. The slide gives a great example. Research question like, does gamification improve vocabulary retention in e-fail contexts? An AI discovery tool like Research Rabbit and Consensus, this is very important actually, scans the literature and produces 78% of studies suggest yes. So if you are interested about, those works that support gamification in the field of e-fail, you are going to look only for the 78% of studies that say yes. It then cites 12 relevant papers and explains short-term vocabulary gains and significant long-term retention varies across studies. This is the kind of high-level summary that normally takes days of reading. So it's a time-consuming tool. After finding the papers, students need to synthesize them. That means understanding which methods were used, what samples were studied, and what findings converge or diverge, where gaps appear in the field. Tools like Illicit, Gemini, Consensus, Research Rabbit can automatically organize this information into tables and matrices. The slide includes a simple matrix comparing 5 papers: study, method, sample, paper. So, paper A, quantitative, the number is 20, the paper is quantitative, and it's the number is 150. So it gives you a matrix about the papers you are trying to look for. This table may look simple, but it helps students. It identifies methodological trends, compare sample size, see which approaches dominate, and detects missing perspectives such as qualitative work or underrepresented groups. AI saves time by producing the structure, allowing students to focus on just interpretation. It says, I'm doing the job for you, the learner. Don't do anything about that. You have to focus on interpreting the findings. And actually, this is really great.
It seems that Dr. Mushi has some issues with the internet. We will wait for him. He will come back. We will share with you the attendance registration link later. You can interact or provide your feedback within the chat box. You can also share your questions there. Welcome back, Mr.
I'm so sorry once again.
No problem. This is one of the negative sides of online scientific events. But we are enjoying the lecture. And
Hmad, do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Do you hear me?
Hmad, do you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you. And I see that there are several attendees are sharing their questions and interacting with you within the chat box. Yeah, please. Dr. Hammouchi.
Now?
Your voice is not here.
Hmad, do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Now you're so go ahead.
Hmad, do you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you.
I'm so sorry about this once again.
No problem.
All right, this slide explains how AI is transforming the way we analyze data in English studies, especially qualitative data, interview transcripts, literary texts, and stylistic patterns. First, let's look at qualitative research, things like interviews, focus groups, students' writing, or classroom observation. Traditionally, coding qualitative data takes hours or even days and months. AI tools can now identify recurring themes instantly. Example from the slide, code switching. You can paste a long interview transcript into AI model and ask, identify the top 3 recurring themes related to code switching. The AI quickly scans the text and produces thematic categories, supporting quotes, and explanations of patterns. This allows the researcher to spend less time sorting data and more time interpreting it, which is the real intellectual work. AI is equally powerful for corpus-based stylistic studies. Example from the slide, sentimental analysis. Within seconds, AI can produce a list of emotional tones, changes across chapters, or scenes, a visual table showing progression.
You can interact.
This slide introduces one of the most sensitive topics when using AI in academic work, which is citation. And this is actually very important. So we need to understand clearly what it does well and what it does badly. The slide contrasts two sides of AI in academic writing, utility and the trap. So we should be aware of the utility and we should be also be aware of the trap. The utility is about AI is extremely good at formatting citations, and the trap, AI is extremely bad at finding sources unless you give it the exact reference. This means AI can be your assistant. This is very important, but it must never be treated as a database of real sources. You shouldn't actually shouldn't trust AI a lot. AI excels part bibliographic information. AI can convert it between two or different styles. For example, MLA to APA, or APA to Chicago, or Chicago to Harvard. It handles the punctuation, italics, capitalization, and order perfectly. This is very helpful because manual citation formatting is a time-consuming and prone to mistakes. So the rule is use AI to format citations you already verified. You should verify the references before uploading or typing them to AI. However, the trap is much more dangerous. If you tell an AI model, for example, find me sources about this and that, as a result, it will often invent, fabricate authors, titles, universities, publication dates, and even page numbers. These fake references look realistic but do not exist everywhere. This is what we call AI hallucination that I talked about before, and it is especially common within or with citations. So the second rule is never rely on AI to generate new sources from scratch. To avoid plagiarism and maintain academic integrity, students should follow these best practices. Use AI for formatting your bibliography, checking citation style, improving clarity or grammar in your annotations. However, sorry, however, do not use AI for fabricating sources, replacing real literature review work, writing citations that were not verified. Academic writing requires real research. AI can help with the mechanics, but not with the scholarly foundation. To stay safe and academically reliable, combine AI with proper reference managers like Zotero, Mendeley, ResearchRabbit, Elicit, Google Scholar, and others. So it's useful to cite, but actually we as humans, our learners, students, we should verify. This slide captures one of the biggest challenges of AI era, plagiarism. This is what learners fear. Plagiarism is no longer a simple yes-no issue. The concept of plagiarism is totally, revolutionized with the era of AI. We need to rethink that what counts as cheating and what counts as responsible use. So what is cheating and what is not actually is blurred nowadays. Traditionally, plagiarism was easy to define. What was plagiarism before? It's about copying someone's work or words or ideas. But with AI, the line becomes blurry. Students may write the assignment, but with heavy AI assistant, so the real question becomes, did the students outsource the thinking? Did he or she commit plagiarism? If the tool does the cognitive work, the analysis, the argument, the structure, then the student is no longer the author. And that is the core danger of AI use. The slide shows a spectrum that moves from acceptable green to unacceptable AI use red. Let's break it down clearly. Category 1, AI assisted, which means allowed. It's encouraged. These are low-level mechanical tasks. AI can help with brainstorming ideas, improving grammar, correcting spelling, and checking clarity. This is similar to using Grammarly as a tool or word spell check that we have in Word documents. The student still does the thinking. There is no ethical problem here. Category 2, the amber color. Category 2 is about AI co-piloted, allowed, but requires disclosure. You should admit. This is where AI helps with expression, organization, but not with the core ideas. Examples include like rephrasing ideas or paraphrasing ideas, summarizing, or synthesizing. Here, the student still does the intellectual work, but AI helps refine or compress it. Category number 3 in the red color, AI generated, not allowed, and this is academically dishonest. This is the dangerous zone. It happens when the student copies a prompt into AI and submit the generated essay without critical review. In this case, the student did not generate the ideas, the students did not build the argument, and the student is not the real author. This is considered plagiarism because the cognitive labor has been outsourced entirely by the machine. The old definitions assume that plagiarism meant copying existing human text, but AI creates new text. So plagiarism is not about duplication anymore. It's not about duplication. It's about generating. It's about creating, fabricating. So this is very important. This slide explains how AI detection tools like Turnitin and others, of course, actually work. Many people think detectors understand writing, but actually they don't. They look for mathematical patterns in the text, not the meaning. They turn the text into mathematical patterns to see the likelihood, the probability that I talked about before, but they don't dig to the meaning. Turnitin as a tool of detecting plagiarism does not judge ideas, arguments, or logic. It doesn't understand whether a sentence is good or bad. What it measures is the statistical predictability. In other words, AI detectors look for the shape and the rhythm of the text, not the content. And actually, these tools they consider two main points. The first one is perplexity, and the second is burstiness. Perplexity measures how predictable the next word is. It predicts the next token. AI text has low perplexity. AI tends to choose the most statistically likely next word. So the next is smooth, stable, and very predictable. Human text, on the other hand, has a high perplexity level. Humans are chaotic in nature. We jump between ideas, choose unusual phrasing, and take unexpected turns. That unpredictability raises perplexity. So when a detector sees the text that is too predictable, it suspects AI involvement. However, if the text is unpredictable, it says that this is humanly made. The burstiness, the second point, measures variation in sentence length and structure. So the first one was about predictability, and burstiness is about the length and the structure of the sentences. AI text has low burstiness. Sentence lengths are similar. The rhythm is flat. it looks like a machine trying to keep everything balanced. Human texts, however, are highly or they have a high level of burstness. Humans write in an uneven rhythm, short sentences, then long ones, then fragment, then another long sentences. So the level is fluctuating. This creates a spiky pattern that detectors interpret as human. This slide makes something very clear. Detectors are not checking the source of your writing, they are checking the style of your writing. That's why non-native speakers, students using templates of writing, students writing very tightly academic English may, this type of students, even they didn't use AI or they didn't, get the help from AI, may sometimes get incorrectly flagged as AI. This is one of the drawbacks actually of these machine detectors. On the slide, you see two profiles. The first profile is AI, is smooth, line predictable, even controlled. So if you see the lines, they are symmetrical somehow. And the human profile, look at it. The lines are not symmetrical, they're asymmetrical, full of spikes, variation, irregularity, and creativeness. This visual shows exactly what Turnitin is measuring behind the scenes. In the previous slide, we saw the theory behind Ayyad detection, perplexity, and burstiness. This slide shows how those concepts look in real writing. So this is an example. We compare two short texts, one written by AI and one written by human, and we examine what makes them different. The goal here is to show that AI detection tools are not judging meaning or quality. They are judging statistical patterns, likelihood in the writing. By comparing the two tasks side by side, we can clearly see that detectors make the decision they do. The AI generated text in the slide is smooth, predictable, and rhythmically flat. It has low perplexity, low burstness. So the source of the verdict here is 99% AI probability because it's low perplexity, it has low perplexity and low burstness. But if you see the other one, it has high perplexity because it's humanly made, and the burstiness is also high. It's spiky. You have 4 words, 9 words, and then 2 words, and then 8 words. So it's not steady. It's not symmetrical. So the verdict here is we say this is humanly made. All right. This slide explains why AI detection tools are not enough and why universities must rethink the entire assessment system. It shows both the failure of our AI detectors and the solutions we need to adopt in higher education. This is actually very important. So at the level of the university, as professors or people in charge there, they shouldn't fully trust AI detector because they may flag good writings as AI generated. First, the slide highlights a critical issue. AI detectors are unreliable. They produce both false positives and false negatives. And this creates serious risks, especially for non-native English speakers. One of the major problems is that detection tools often flag students who did not use AI, flag them as, cheaters. This happens because students who write in very formal, simplified structures, because we have such students, especially non-native speakers, may unknowingly produce text that looks like AI in style. Their writing becomes too stable, too organized, and therefore resemble machine-generated patterns. This can lead to unfair accusations and emotional distress for students who wrote their own work honestly. At the same time, AI detectors are easy to fool. People can fool AI because it's a machine after all. Students can use paraphrasing tools, and we know them like AI humanizers. You take the text, from AI generated, completely AI generated, and then you go to another tool which is like AI humanizers, and you ask the AI humanizers to make it like human, which means you ask it to make it high perplexity and high burstness, and this would resemble humanly made writing or simple writing, rewriting techniques to avoid detection. This means cheaters can slip through, honest students can be wrongly accused, and teachers cannot trust detection scores. So the system is fundamentally unstable. Up to now, we have focused on how AI affects students and teachers. But this slide asks a bigger question. How can universities themselves adapt to AI? So they should, after all, adapt to AI, and change their teaching methods. Because without institutional support, even the best AI teaching practices cannot scale. First, this slide highlights the importance of infrastructure. AI cannot function without reliable access to high-speed Wi-Fi, adequate computer labs, up-to-date devices, and technical support teams. So we need to update actually our infrastructure to keep with the level of AI. The slide specifically mentions the need to expand Code 212 centers beyond STEM faculties. Right now, many humanities campuses, especially English department, don't have the same level of digital access as those of science campuses. So if universities want students in literature, linguistics, translation, or other fields, they must invest in modern learning spaces, stable connectivity, equitable digital access. Without this, AI becomes a privilege rather than a universal tool. The second pillar is faculty training. Professors cannot teach AI literacy if they are uncomfortable with the tools themselves. That's why this slide stresses train the trainer programs, structured workshops that help teachers understand how AI works, integrate it into teaching, design AI resistant but AI aware assessment, avoid common pitfalls like hallucinations and fake citations. This is crucial because faculty anxiety is one of the biggest barriers to AI adoption. If teachers feel confident, students benefit. If teachers are afraid, innovation, of course, stops. The third pillar is the development of a unified national ethics charter for AI usage in higher education. Right now, there is confusion. Even university and sometimes even professor has a different rule about when AI is allowed. We are confused about the use of AI at the university. There is nothing official about it. So when should we use AI? When is it allowed? What counts as plagiarism? Is it about co-piloted? Is it about fully generated? Is it about just being assisted by the AI? So when exactly to use it? How students must disclose AI assistant? How assignments should be designed in the AI era? So the kind of assessment, the tests, and the things we give the students, should we keep the same thing we are giving them, or should we use other materials to keep up with the AI era? So this is a big question that actually should be answered by people in charge. The slide calls for a standardized policy across all Moroccan universities, ensuring that expectations are clear, students are treated fairly, academic integrity is protected, and AI remains a tool for learning, not cheating. This slide takes everything we've learned so far and turns it into a concrete classroom application. The key message is that AI is not replacing teachers. and it will never do, this is my own opinion, it is expanding what is possible, especially in English departments dealing with large students populations. AI allows us to rethink traditional teaching method. This transformation is especially important in Morocco, where many English departments face overcrowded classes. One of the biggest challenges in Moroccan universities is massification. We have crowded, lecture halls with 400 or more than that, 400 students in a lecture hall. In such situations, giving individualized, personalized feedback is nearly impossible. This slide introduces a solution, deploying custom chatbots as 24 out of 7 tutors. So it's personalized, feedback for every student and in all the time. Whenever the students feel like asking questions, just go there and type whatever you want. These AI tutors can explain grammar rules, correct basic errors, give examples and exercises, answer simple questions anytime. This frees professor from or to focus on high level content like literature analysis, culture studies, critical thinking, academic writing, etc. The idea here is pedagogically powerful. Students evaluate the AI writing instead of submitting it. They should evaluate it by themselves. It's a self assessment. They critique the AI draft, identify weaknesses, improve the structure, rewrite sections, add their own ideas, etc. So move on to the last slide. The final slide bridges everything together. After exploring the history of AI, its mechanics, its impact on learning, and the challenges it creates, we now look forward. What does this all mean for the future of education, the English department, and for higher education in general in Morocco? The slide begins by reminding us that the biggest challenge is not AI itself. The challenge is how to define academic honesty in an age where AI is everywhere. So we should admit this. AI is everywhere. We shall face this. And we should, try to improve our infrastructure in order to keep up with such, innovation. So the new definition of plagiarism becomes unclaimed automation when students hide the fact that a machine performed a cognitive labor. What we need now is new assessment models, clear disclosure policies, AI literacy programs. This is another literacy that we should actually teach to our students. Despite the challenges, this slide highlights something very powerful. AI can reduce educational inequality. It urges, it creates some sort of equality between students, personalized and individual learning and teaching. In Morocco, many students enter university with different levels of English proficiency, digital exposure, previous schooling, access to resources. So for students who feel lost in overcrowded classes, AI becomes a quiet companion, always available, always patient. It democratizes access to support that was previously available only to a few. This slide closes with a vision of what English department can become. The future is not about replacing Shakespeare with machines. And as I said, it will never replace humans. It is about using AI to analyze Shakespeare's corpus, comparing interpretations across different models, representations, creating multiple narratives, teaching students to critique, not just consume AI generated text. So this slide gives us three clear takeaways. The challenge, academic integrity must be redefined in the age of AI. The opportunity, AI can provide personalized support and reduce inequalities. And the future, English department will become centers of critical digital literacy where students learn to analyze both text and technologies. In short, AI does not replace the English department or humans or teachers or learners. It expands their mission for the 21st century. And I'm so sorry for the interruption, and thank you once again. See, Ahmed.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dr. Hammouchi, for your rational and insightful presentation. The emergence of generative artificial intelligence signifies not just a fleeting technological phenomena, but a profound transformation that necessitates a reassessment of the core principles of assessment. So teaching technologies and the ultimate objectives of education, we need to reassess all these terms or emotions, rather than engaging in challenging approaches of prohibition. It is essential to consciously and creatively incorporate tools to adequately prepare students for the new work force or the new workplace that is full of artificial intelligence tools. Thank you, Dr. Hammouchi, for your informative and thought-provoking presentation. You have adopted underscored the significance transformation brought about by generative artificial intelligence, moving beyond the limited discourse on academic integrity to address a deeper issue. The urgent need of pedagogical transformation, your statement that the appropriate response lies not in preventing the use of artificial intelligence, but in the integration or the intelligent integration of these technological devices into research or into institutions to enhance students' competencies and prepare them for the future that is increasingly as AI augmented in is crucial. Your analysis illustrates that resisting these tools is ultimately counterproductive, whereas their thoughtful adaptation can foster a more dynamic, individualized, and innovative educational experience. Your call to reconsider learning assessments in the age of artificial intelligence serves as both challenge and an immediate call to action for higher education institutions. I think not only for higher education, but all levels, or because also students in high school and middle school are using artificial intelligence in their studies. This discourse serves as a reminder that the mission of universities or researchers or educational institutions has evolved. They are no longer solely tasked with imparting knowledge, but with empowering students, providing students with these technical skills or tools that can help them foster or develop their skills and competencies. So we now invite participants or attendees to engage in with their questions and discuss this this big issue that we are facing, not only within universities with our students or within educational institutions, but also within every single act in our life. So, Dr. Hammouchi, let's move to the questions that attendees have raised. For example, we have Dishwafa has asked a question. She says, how can we integrate artificial intelligence in EFL teaching?
All right, see, Med, thank you once again, and I'm sorry for the interruptions from time to time, because as I told you, the internet connection is not really working well these days. I don't know why, and this is actually one of the pitfalls, if I may say so, or the
Yes,
drawbacks of using technology or integrating it in eval teaching.
sure.
This is for the first question. You should be aware that you should never trust technology fully. You should always have a plan B, or to avoid such problems. Yes. So going back to EFL teaching, and this is actually something that I really use with my students. So just focus on assessment as a case. All right. So for example, uh, AI actually revolutionizes the evaluation and the assessment for of the students. Traditionally it was with papers and term, for example, and term tests, and you just ask students some couple of questions, and then you take their papers and try to score their answers, right? But with AI, you can make it individualized, personalized, and on the spot. This is what's important. It's on the spot. For example, at the end of your lesson, you keep some kind of 5 or 10 minutes at the end, and you just ask them to, for example, log into quizzes. This is one of the ways I used to do with my students. And you should actually prepare some kind of questions beforehand, and you go to that platform, and then you just ask the students to log into with some sort of codes, and they just go through the questions that you have already prepared, and at the end they just submit the answers, and they get the score. All right. But this is not the end. Once they get the score, of course they will have some right answers and wrong answers. With the wrong answers, they just go there and they see why the answers were wrong, right? And they compare them even with other the answers of the other students, and they try to see where the mistake was and try to rectify it. So this is one of the ways actually to implement AI in your teaching. And I hope
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hammouchi, for your
answer your
answer.
question. Yes.
Yeah, Dish Wafa also have been wondering about. She says about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Do you think that artificial intelligence can replace teachers? I think you answered this question
Yeah,
during
I
the.
have answered this, and I said that AI actually is very helpful. And you remember what I said about how AI is working, and I said when you're trying to write your prompts, AI does not actually understand the words, but it makes some statistical mathematical probability to see which word is coming next, and that's what we call the token. And the most probable word, that's what the AI is going to take. And the example I gave you, the cat sat on the. So the coming word, the most probable word, for example, is on the sofa. And this is done actually, very quickly. All right. It feels like if you actually analyze it, this is a statistical probability. But when you are typing and you are trying to communicate with the any AI platform, it feels like a conversation because it's very quick. So once you write your prompt to AI, the output is never 100% true. as I told you, sometimes it's generate fake ideas. For example, if you are asking about I don't know, references or something like this, it gives you a fake author, fake book, and a fake even page number. So you
Yeah,
what you wrote is actually to go and verify what the output of the AI. And this is to answer your question. AI can never replace teachers or people in general. You have always to go and verify your output, and you should never actually trust AI. Yes, it's helpful, but the human existence is much more important than AI.
yeah. As you said, the machine deals with the expected, but humans are unexpected. The
Very,
interactions
yeah,
are unexpected.
yeah. That's
Uh,
that's the point.
yeah. Kamal Nada says, how does generative AI challenge traditional notions of teaching, learning, and assessment?
Yeah, this is actually similar to the first question, but
Yeah,
let me say that with traditional teaching, traditional methods, traditional type of assessment, they are outdated, and with the emergence of AI, we shall actually revolutionize our ways of teaching and assessment and evaluation. We should keep up with this innovation, otherwise we'll be excluded. All right. This is if you go to some of the universities, most of teachers, they are afraid of, or they hate the use of AI. But in the future AI will prevail in one way or another. AI
yeah,
will prevail, and we shall adopt it in our universities, in our classrooms, because as I said throughout the slides, AI saves a lot of time. Instead of, for example, as I told you, go and read multiple books, plethora of books, and read this book and that book, and this actually is going to take a lot of time. But with the use of AI, consensus, the example I gave you, the consensus and research rabbit, this will be done in no more than 5 minutes instead of 3 months. So this is actually, it's a challenge, but it's
yeah,
it's it's saving it saves a lot of time. And with research, Si Ahmed, with research rabbit
yeah,
and consensus, I really recommend it for a lot of for students, BA, MA, or PhD students. It saves a lot of time, and it gives you a lot of connections, and even it provides you with books you have never heard before. For example, if you are searching, you know, let's say, for example, bilingualism, and you just type it there in consensus, it will provide you with the pioneers or in the field that you have never even heard about before. So this is a challenge, but it's a fact, it's a reality, and it's prevailing nowadays. We have to adopt this in our educational system.
yeah. This is a call to all researchers, or to try to conduct research on how to use
Yeah,
artificial intelligence for education, for assessment, for methodology, for everything that is related to the academia. We need, because now artificial intelligence is there. If we stop using it, there are others who will use it, and we will be lag
yeah,
behind. So we need to train ourselves and to read and to do research and to conduct research on this field. Professor
I agree.
Mohamed Haddawi asks, why not regulate and legalize artificial intelligence use in scientific research by issuing a reference booklet with does and don'ts? And how can we deal with artificial intelligence hallucinations and misjudgment? So this is a question that
This is a
is
good question.
includes all the questions that we mentioned
Yeah, yeah.
before.
I agree. This is a
Yeah,
good question, and actually, it's to the
yeah,
point. we should legalize the use of AI, and it should be, as I said, adopted. And as you said, if we don't use it, someone else is going to use it appropriately. All right.
Yeah,
We should adopt it in the educational system, and we should make students aware of the good side of using AI, and the dangerous, let's say, the dangerous side of using AI. There should be something that done at the level of the ministry, and then coming back to the students, even the students. Yes, the teachers, they should be trained well. Do you remember I talked about this, training the trainers? Because
yeah,
some of the teachers, they don't know even about this AI. They don't know whether AI is existing or not. So how shall you explain to them what is AI? Actually, there should be a lot of work done at the level of the ministry to include it. They were talking a lot about the use of soft skills, and they have done a great job actually integrating soft skills at the university. Now we shall go beyond it to as I talked in my presentation about the prompting literacy. We shall
yeah,
teach students the appropriate way of using prompts in order to get a good and appropriate output. Because I'm sure that lot of students are using AI in a wrong way. They just provide incorrect and sometimes vague, let's say, prompts,
prompts.
and the result is what generic prompts, and they don't even read that. They just copy and paste, and that's what we call plagiarism. Mohammed talked about something very interesting, which is providing a reference booklet. That should be at the level
Yeah,
of the university. Students, they should study these kind of works, the handout books about booklets. And even we should encourage teachers to provide research about the use of AI at the level of the university. This way we shall provide a bibliography about the AI, how to use it, what is the appropriate way to use it, the dangerous side of using it, and even avoiding hallucinations. And as I talked before, the hallucination is very important actually. Sometimes what you get from AI is not really true. Sometimes it's hallucinated. Sometimes it's fake. So you should be there to evaluate the output and to take what's important, what's true, what's academic, and to neglect the rest. So
yeah,
Muhammad's comment is actually to the point. There is much work to be done in this context.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Dr. Abdelaziz Hamouchi, for your ideas and for your feedback. As you said, this artificial intelligence is providing students with immediate feedback, and it's personalizing learning. It helps to deal with this huge or big data, or these huge numbers of students. For example, you said 100 students or 1,000 students. They can
Yeah, yeah,
help you analyze the results of your students. They can help you design remedial work plans and lesson plans. They can help researchers, teachers, students, and the call for conducting research and do collaborative work in order to legalize or to provide guides or booklets on how to use artificial intelligence ethically. There are a lot of ideas that need to be subjects of future research, and this is what I like from scientific lectures and conferences. I like the questions that are there in order to provide these researchers with new ideas to look for. Thank you. On behalf of Bitlisaniyat Academy, I express our sincere appreciation to you, Dr. Abdelaziz Hammouchi, for accepting our invitation and for investing a lot of time and effort in preparing this presentation. Thank you so much. Any final words? It seems that Professor Abdelaziz Hammouchi is facing with the internet. Let's remind you of his background. Dr. Hammouchi serves as a lecturer and researcher at the University of Sidi Mohamed bin Abdellah in Fez. His academic work focuses on educational development, interdisciplinary research, and fostering scholarly partnerships among Moroccan institutions. He has participated in various research initiatives aimed at enhancing academic quality and promoting innovation in higher education. His commitment to advancing curriculum development and students' learning is reflected in his vigorous inquiry and publications, alongside his active engagement in both professional and university research community. So thank you so much, Dr. Abdelaziz. Any final words before we?
Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm so sorry for this interruption. It's out of
It's
my
okay.
control, and this
No
that's
problem.
that's related to the question that one of attendees asked.
Yeah.
Can machine replace humans? Definitely never.
Yeah.
I was talking about doing my research back then in 2019. I spent 1 year reading books. Imagine 1 year. If I knew
Yeah.
about this kind of research rabbit and consensus, I wouldn't lose that much of time. Of course, I wouldn't go through the whole year just reading books in order to synthesize at the end. With consensus and research rabbit, you can do that in less than a week. You see, and you should start doing your research without losing the whole year reading the books. So you see, AI actually saves a lot of time and a lot of work. Another idea is once I distributed my research, my questionnaire. I remember that I spent again more than 3 months just coding my ideas. Again, if I knew about research rabbit or illicit, I wouldn't waste that much of time. I would, for example, just upload my data, and for example, just prompt code, for example, code my data in certain ways, and I will get the output in a very appropriate way and use it without losing the 3 months. And again, referencing, you can take the help of AI in order to document your work in an appropriate way, whether an IPA or MLA, whatever. For example, if you are using MLA and then your professor asks, no, this is not the right way to do it, you have to make it in the form of MLA, IPA documentation style. So without the help of AI, in this case, you will lose a lot of time again just trying to switch from MLA to IPA. But with the help of AI, you can just do it in one click. So you see, it saves a lot of time. Hmad, thank you so much, and I hope I was up to the level, and I hope I have provided appropriate information for the attendees, and I hope inshallah to see you in another academic event.
Inshallah, inshallah. Thank you so much for your time and efforts. We enjoyed and benefited a lot from your presentation and your ideas, and so do all the attendees that are still following us now, even though we finished the lecture long time ago. Thank you so much, and we invite you, our Bitlisaniyat is yours. Anytime you want to deliver a presentation or to participate with us or to coordinate a conference, so you are always welcome to share your research and finding with researchers that are following this academic platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Hmad.
you so much. Thank you to the attendees. Thank you so much for your engagement and questions and comments. So, Abdelaziz, thank you so much. Let's call it a day. See you, inshallah, in the upcoming scientific events.
Inshallah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.